which is what I am doing right now. You're on.
I wasn't texting.
No, but this is a podcast, and it's Noah Asked. And today it's a very special Noah Asked because we are recording on a very special day. What day is it?
Oh, it's the birthday of a comedian, right?
Yeah.
Some dude.
Yeah.
Made some gun jokes.
Jim Jeffries.
Yeah, Jim Jeffries.
That guy. No. But it is February 14th.
Yeah, Jim Jeffries' birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11 days after my birthday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
So? what are you going on about?
It's a day of love. That was made 9 months ago to create Jim Jeffries.
Yeah. Perfect. That's all that matters on this day.
That's what we're talking about.
No, it is the 14th of February. February? Do you pronounce the R?
February.
Because it's spelled February, right? Or am I just like
having a stroke? No.
Do
you are
smell burnt
you
toast?
dyslexic?
I mean, I am. But like,
you
right?
broke my brain.
Am I wrong?
I am so bad at spelling
it's like
that
February.
if you ever like challenge anything I've ever spelled in my life, I'm so confused instantly.
Okay, Google. Spell February.
You say it really weird.
February is spelled F-E-B-R-U-A-R-Y.
February.
February. It's
February.
brewery.
Brewery.
Beer month.
Right.
St. Patrick's Day. When is that? Is that beer month?
In Spanish, that's febrero.
Whoa!
Got me.
It's like when so I don't speak a lot of Spanish, but I do a little bit of it too. Just I don't know why. It just happens. But like so when I'm around Marlon or someone who does speak Spanish, which by the way, coming out in a week or two, just to plug something, Marlon will be on a podcast. But no, he like switches into a Spanish voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like so it's just like he could just be like, oh yeah, my family's from Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's like it just switches just distinctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just what that reminded me of. She's like, you say February, febrero. I'm like, oh goodness.
I feel like I notice you do that sometimes with like food and stuff.
Yeah.
When you say like chilies and stuff, you just like switch over to like tortillas and you just like
I guess.
you dip down into it for a sec.
Huh. It's my instincts.
Yeah.
It's my
For a white boy like me, I'm just like, whoa, what's that?
You're like, whoa, what are you doing speaking Mexican?
No, but today is a podcast and we are not talking about how we speak words. We are talking about loneliness, which is a Valentine's Day topic.
Yeah, it's great because it's Valentine's Day and we're both not doing anything with a significant other or
We are doing
anything.
things with each other.
Oh yeah,
we are significant.
We're significant.
Reach towards each other for the video podcast. Touch me, damn it. Touch me.
Just like edging up. Derek, edit in some sweet effects there. It's a special day, Derek. Do you understand? I don't care about your schedule. I don't care if you have to stay up until midnight.
I don't care if your wife and kids want to see you.
You don't get to see them. They're locked in my closet until you finish this. Anyways, I'm sorry. I just hijacked your show. Please go on.
No, it's all right. No, but so loneliness is a very apparent thing on Valentine's Day for us people who don't have a person to share it with. And so I need to give them a voice. And so starting off, is there something that you do when you feel lonely to like make yourself not feel lonely?
I send out a mass snap.
Yeah.
Just like to anyone. I'm just like, hey,
Talk to me.
Hey, please, someone say something. I'm so lonely.
If no one responds the first time, you just do a second one. You're like, okay, guys, stakes have risen.
You just keep doing it. No, when I'm lonely, I'll reach out to like my common folks. So like reach out to you. I've got like a couple other friends, but there are points when everyone's busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. When I'm lonely, I just kind of suck it up. And, like, it depends on what kind of lonely I am, too. Like, sometimes you're lonely, like, hey, I want to hang out with someone. Sometimes you're lonely, like, hey, I want to fuck someone. Hey, sometimes you text a different person for each. Yeah. Or sometimes you don't. Sometimes I'm like, Noah, what are you doing? You're like, it's 2 a.m. I'm like, yeah, what's up? But, like, no, I think I try and refocus that kind of negative energy into other stuff because I grew up feeling pretty lonely. I was homeschooled for years, which we've talked about, and I feel like it's gotten old that I say it. But anyways, so during that time, whenever I'd get lonely or a little bit sad, I would kind of repurpose that energy into making something, which is how I got into YouTube and how I got into film. So I guess art. I express my pain of not having someone to hold through art.
Definitely. because especially when we were younger and there wasn't like as much stuff just around like through the internet and things, like loneliness usually equated to boredom. And then boredom, either creates creativity or boring people.
Isn't it weird that like when you're a kid, you don't really remember being lonely, you just remember being bored? I just
we just give it a different name when we get older.
I just made that connection right here live on the podcast. Boom. This is my like mind blown face.
Looks like a lot of other faces too.
Yeah,
just a combination of them.
Can you do the oh my god, I shouldn't ask you to do that. I was gonna ask you to do the I think it's a adagio face or something like that. Adago? Adagio. It's the face that that TikTok girl uses, Bella Delphine.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Where you cross your eye. It's the anime coming face.
No, I don't.
The crossing eyes and the tongue out.
Yeah. I'm uncomfortable. Believe it or not.
We'll talk about it during the break.
Okay. No, so yeah, like we were saying, there's different kinds of loneliness. Like sometimes it just hits you for the day. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's lasting longer than it should. What's going on?
You're like, wow, it's been a month.
Yeah.
It's crazy that no one wants to hang out and everyone keeps canceling.
Yeah, my one sad day just kept going and going and going.
How do you deal with it?
I usually try to like ignore it because like sometimes it's just a one day thing, and it'll like the next morning I'm like, oh, like I have things to do, and you find purpose in other things. Like when you go to work, you're like, oh, like now work can be my purpose for a little bit of time, or like, there's just times where like games and TV and stuff just like don't do it for you, and there's not like any meaning behind it, and that's when I get kind of sad. I'm like, wait, this TV should like suffice for me.
See, that's kind of when I get more creative because during those times when it's like, oh, hey, I've been watching YouTube for 7 hours and I still feel sad. So I think, that's when I'm like, okay, well, if I'm being productive and doing something, then I don't have time to be sad because now I have this.
And you have an end result that gives you positive energy.
Like you were saying, you have like this purpose now, which I think says a lot. I think a lot of people would, I think art therapy and all that is a real thing. There's something to be said about, oh, hey, I made this with my hands. Oh, hey, I was sad, but because I was sad, I didn't let it keep me down, which is a big fight with depression. Because when you're depressed, like actually clinically depressed, you can't get out of bed some days, which sounds like to people who don't understand it, it looks like you're lazy.
Yeah.
It's, you just can't. Your body like doesn't secrete enough like dopamine for you to feel like there's worth.
Yeah, I've definitely listened to someone who said that they got a dog while they were like having heavy depression, and like just like taking the dog out on a walk, feeding the dog, like caring for this life gave you just enough purpose to get out of bed each day, and then that got you motivated to do other things and just pushed you a little bit more to like help break the depression. But didn't solve the problem, of course.
Yeah, but loneliness is just one of the symptoms, or one of the symptoms of depression too. So like, but which I'm trying to draw it back to loneliness rather than just having this be a depression podcast. Welcome to Valentine's Day, where we talk about how sad and depressed everything is. Specifically us and our hearts and our souls.
Yeah, but last year you lived alone for quite a bit of time. And so did that have a different effect than like what you have been used to?
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. So part of what made that tough for me was the fact that not only was I living alone, because I've lived alone before, but I lived alone in proximity to a lot of my friends. So it wasn't ever like a huge deal. And I could like be alone when I wanted to. But then most of the time I would host. I love hosting things. It's so fun to just be like, hey, come on over to my house. We'll get some bevs. We'll play some Smash Bros or whatever. It'll all be dope. And then it's like, you get like the funny kid to come, and then everybody else comes because everyone likes him. They don't really like you, but they're like, he's there. Yeah. Bevs are there. We'll go. We'll watch. We'll have a good time.
We want you to be around him. Yeah, it'll be great.
In my like fucking 6x12 dorm room. Or
I was about to say, it's a little easier to do that in like dorm rooms, but like when you like apartment life, it gets a little harder because not everyone's just like forced to be in the same building.
Yeah, it's really odd because I spent a lot of my time in the dorms trying to get out of the dorms, where it's just like, oh man, fuck the dorms, I don't want to be here. But then I got out of the dorms into apartments. I'm like, yo, dorms are kind of cool. They come with like their own
goods and bads.
Yeah, like with their own community, I guess is the word I was kind of reaching for. And it can feel kind of like a frat house in some cases, where it's just like, oh wow, you know, all my neighbors are douchebags, or all my neighbors are baseball players who don't know how to shut the fuck up. Or, you know, one of my neighbors is this is a true story. My neighbor at the dorm I lived in before was trying to learn to play guitar, and he specifically was trying to learn to play Seven Nation Army.
Oh yeah.
And so he there would be like an hour a day for like a month. He finally gave up, thank God. But like normally I'd be like, yeah, you know, keep trying. But no, he would just go doom 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 doom. I'm like, oh my God, just do it.
Play the fifth note.
Yeah, it was like I was like I fucking. And one day I literally because I have this really loud sound bar, and it's got a very nice subwoofer on it. So I just shoved the subwoofer up against the wall, and I just blasted Seven Nation Army.
Just
I was like,
the right
this
version.
is how it's done. Please just do.
Learn.
I shouldn't shit on someone. I can't play guitar, but still, I was like, oh my God, this is.
But yeah, the dorm's force community, the good and the bad of it. So it's like, oh, I get to like meet all these people I wasn't planning on meeting.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's great, and sometimes it's not. So.
Yeah, and they have these like events where they force you to get together, and then you can meet new people, which when you're at them, you're like, oh, this is dumb. Why would I want to meet people? But then at the same time, it's like, oh, hey, you know, you don't quite realize it's like, oh, hey, you know, you start to see faces you recognize, and then you make those connections later. Whereas in an apartment, if they try and do it, one, it's kind of weird for apartments to try and do that. Some of them do it here because their audience is specifically towards like students, so they will host like, oh, we're having a pool party tonight, oh, we're having this, but no, apartments is just like, these are like real adults, and so you're just like, yeah, fuck it, you live here, that's it.
Yeah, and in apartments you notice that a little more with like nicer ones that have like pools and like community clubhouses, where like a lot of them, they're just like, these are buildings, like where are we gonna host, like in our parking lot?
Yeah. Yeah, like here they've got nowhere to host in our undisclosed location of our amazing studio. But
yeah. My next question is, have you ever felt lonely during a relationship?
what kind of relationship?
I would say romantic is the premise of the question.
All right. I was just making sure.
I didn't want to out myself if I didn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like, so when you're in a relationship either, it shouldn't be either, but it's like either A, because wow, you found this person you really like, or B, you found this person you really like for now, and you're lonely anyways. So, so you may as well, fill the time in the void. I've been in both, but the best is usually when you just find someone you like.
For sure.
Because then you're like, oh, hey, I have something to keep all the loneliness away. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not ever going to be lonely. And I don't think that if you are lonely during a relationship like that you should feel like guilty about it, because it's a natural part of life, I think, to feel that kind of loneliness. We mentioned earlier how, as a kid, it's just boredom, and then it kind of like starts to turn into like, oh, hey, this is kind of lonely versus boredom, and you kind of learn that distinction. I think when you're in a relationship, you start to feel more boredom than lonely, but it's still like on that edge of like, oh, hey, this other half of me isn't around or whatever, depending on how long you've been together, what kind of relationship you have. Of course, there's the kinds where it's like, oh, hey, we're long distance relationships, we're okay with that. For long distance relationships, we're not okay with that. Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have kept going, but it happens.
And so there's like, that leaves time in between where, you both have your own lives, you're not always tethered together. So you're going to have off schedules. Like we have that every now and then. Now, are we romantic? I'll never tell. but like, like we still have those moments where it's like, oh, hey, Noah's
gone for the weekend.
Yeah, Noah's gone for the weekend, and I'm here alone. Well, I guess I'll call up someone and have them come over. Or
it's crazy how fast that can come, though. It's like we spent all week together, and now there's no one in the apartment for the weekend, and you're just like, whoa, what am I doing with my life? I'm so alone.
Well, and it's so interesting. We have this. I mentioned this the other day, where we have this relationship where we're like super comfortable being like around each other, but completely silent. Not saying
no context. No,
it's like, but we're just happier being like, I will go out into the living room and chill out in there just because you're out there, just because I want to. Or like you mentioned,
I'll do homework in your room while you're editing on the computer. And
Yeah.
we'll both be silent working on computers, but like within 5 feet of each other.
But it's like there's something about being in proximity to another human being that makes you feel a little better. And I don't know if that's just an us thing or if that's like a regular human thing. Or
I think like other people experience it too. You have to like be really close with the person though to like understand that it's like we don't need to talk to each other to know that we.
Yeah, and I love that part of a relationship. I've always said my favorite part of a relationship isn't necessarily the honeymoon period, which like don't get me wrong, that can be great. It's the part where you get comfortable. It's the part where you like just like settle in and you're like, oh hey, this is normal. Oh hey, I can burp around you and you don't feel weird. I'm not gonna fart around someone because
Never.
That's rude.
I'm not an animal.
I'm disgusting. No one can ever know how gross I am. But like Jesus Christ, hold on, sorry, my watch is going nuts. But no, like I love that point of just being like able to chillax with your significant other, like in your underwear, and it's not even sexual. It's just like hey, we're just having a lazy day, or like you can just tease and
sometimes it's hard to break through that wall of like like when we're together we're doing something to like where it's like oh we're just gonna sit and like watch TV and like no like sometimes it's like oh we'll watch a movie and eat popcorn and like have like a date kind of thing, but like to have zero purpose in it and be like I guess we'll turn on TV and like, we're not really watching it but whatever.
Like it just I love that level of just chilling with this person that you really like, but also like you don't have to do anything, because I feel like a lot of relationships, at least in the start, are kind of there's this feeling that it's like, oh, we have to go on dates. Like when we hang out, we have to go do something. There has to be importance to it, and that's just such a fucking drag. It's like it gets expensive, it's time consuming, and then you like really limit like what you can do. But then like if you just break it into like, oh hey, you want to just like come chill, it's like do whatever. It's like bring homework and like that, just like be in proximity to that person. And so I feel like in a lot of ways good relationships either start with best friends that go to dating and then continue being best friends, or start with dating and then become best friends and then stay best friends. Because that's I don't know, because there's something about like holding your relationship to too high of regard. I feel like that kind of like breaks it down, because if you put the pedestal up so high and then you just always feel like you have to meet it, then you're gonna fail because you're not gonna like always meet it, Yeah,
because like your best friend is someone who you just like you put here. You're like, this is my best friend. He is the person who he is, and like he will stay my best friend no matter what, pretty much.
Yeah, it's like I accept him despite his flaws.
Yeah. Whereas a relationship is like I need to find the perfect person who meets all of my checklist and everything like that. And it's like, oh, if you just accepted them for the person they are and like grew to love that, then it would be easier.
Yeah, no, but I do think there is something to say about like not settling. I feel like a lot of people our age kind of do that a little bit. We touched on it slightly in the episode where we talked about marriage. But like,
do you mean for the long term or the short term? Like people our age?
I'm sorry, what?
Do people like settle for like the long term, like settle and get married,
or
just settle for
married.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with settling for short term. Because I think you need practice to find the one, like not even just like, just to be blunt about it, like, sexually and all that. I don't think it's a good thing to be like, oh no, I'm saving myself for like that special someone. Because, like they're probably not going to wait for you.
Yeah. And
like the chances of you finding someone who is perfect for you in every single way without ever like having sex with anyone else, without ever doing anyone, and like both of you do that is so rare, I feel like.
But also like learning like the minutia of like being in a relationship too. Like there's some like tricks to the trade there.
Oh, heck
and
yeah.
so if you've never like done that, you could also like blow your chance with that person too.
Yeah, like if I talk to like 18-year-old me, or even when did I start dating? I started like dating when I was like 16 or something. But if I looked at 16, wait, I might have been younger. I might have been 15. I don't know. That doesn't really count. What? Yeah. I'm trying to think. Well, no. Yeah, I would have been like closer to 15 when I like started like dating. If I talk to that kid now, I would just be like so over it. I'd just be like, wow, you are fucking dumb. Like I used to get jealous over like the smallest things.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. And I think being in relationships and having been with a plethora of people not only helped me form opinions of what I like and what, things that I can stand versus things I will never like stand. But it also like set the standard for like, oh, I know how to act. I know how to smell if something's going shady with the other person. It's
That's
like
fair.
just because they're talking to a friend who just so happens to be a guy doesn't mean that she's cheating on me. It just means that she has friends that are guys.
But it could mean that she's cheating on you, and you need to know that line.
Yeah, you need
sometimes.
to know the distinction. Yeah, I thought you were saying like, but it could. It's like, no, there's like,
I'm jealous. What are you doing? Are you hanging out with other guys? I was like,
but yeah, no, there's. I definitely think that being in a relationship helps you learn more about other relationships, even if it's not like it's not the long term. There does come a point where you're like you have to discuss that with the other person, whereas because sometimes one person's like, oh, I'm in this for like, I want to get married to this person eventually, but the other person's not feeling it, and that gets tricky. And then you're straight on back to the hook of this show. Bam, we brought it back to loneliness. What's the next question?
Well, it should probably be time for a break. So,
okay.
At time.
Are we back from the money zone yet? Are
we back? We can be.
We treat this like
What'd you call it? The money zone?
Yeah, the money zone.
What's that from?
Oh, that's from another podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just like they call their ad break the money zone.
Okay.
But no, we treat it like this is just like, oh, so casual. We definitely go through and we like have to start everything up because it's like, are we back? I don't know.
We're back.
Are we back?
We can be. It's only been 2 minutes of us just ranting about nothing.
Wacky.
Okay, so first half, small scale stuff, relationships, general loneliness for us. But you know what? When I was on the internet, I typed in loneliness and all the headlines were like, it's an epidemic. People are dying. It's worse than cigarettes and obesity. And I was just like, whoa.
Worse than cigarettes and obesity.
Yeah, it said like...
loneliness gives you cancer.
Loneliness
and
can
heart
shorten your lifespan more than smoking 15 cigarettes a day or obesity.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, I saw that statistic like 12 times.
Is that just because you off yourself?
I think it just like when you're alone, because we're such social creatures, that it puts you in like a fight or flight state. And that like increases your cortisol levels and things like that. So then your body's just like constantly under stress and doesn't like do all its functions quite right.
Work all day.
And then it shortens your lifespan because your body's working on like overdrive, I guess you would say.
Well, I mean, I have no room to speak. I'm gonna die by 30. So
yeah, no, it's fine.
We've said that many times.
So you can be on overdrive. It's fine.
Yeah, I can be. I'm always on overdrive.
It's gonna shorten my life by 40 years.
The fact that I sleep 3 hours a night is probably the thing that's gonna kill me before loneliness does. But god damn it, if I haven't spent over a third of my life lonely. No, that's crazy. That's a really interesting. I mean, I hate to put you on the spot. Do you have like who came up with that statistic? Or
no, I wanted to check it out, but like 4 or 5 different websites use that exact same statistic: 15 cigarettes a day or obesity.
That's weird.
Yeah,
that's so high.
I know.
Like that's so many cigarettes. That's
like what's in a pack? 10, 20.
It's been a minute.
I don't smoke, Mom.
It's been a minute since I've had a carton of cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? Get some of those bad boys. Yo, I guess. Okay, Google. Okay, Google. How many cigarettes are in a pack?
Do it in Spanish.
20 cigarettes.
20.
So it's like
stop.
A pack a day. I've heard of a pack a day.
Yeah.
Which seems like
that's high.
I'm in the loops.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, so if you're doing a pack a day, let's say that you're a not very healthy human being since you're smoking cigarettes. So you're up like 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like that's a cigarette
up
every
12. You'd be up more than that. Like ideally you're up 16.
Yeah, I'm saying you're not healthy.
Oh, okay. So you sleep a ton.
Yeah, you're sleeping a lot because your body's just shutting down. So it's like, yeah, okay, well we can do 16. Like that's cigarette
an hour.
Less, yeah.
Or less than a cigarette an hour. Yeah.
More than a cigarette an hour.
More.
It's 20.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Because they always talk about smoke breaks and stuff. It's like, cool, smoke break.
Why would you need one? Yeah. Well, if you got to smoke every hour and you're limiting yourself to every 2 hours.
I know people who started smoking just so they could take smoke breaks.
So do I.
That's so it's
in
dumb.
like a company who like didn't even have official smoke breaks, but if they were smoking, they'd be like, they're fine.
Yeah.
So
that's so stupid.
I know.
It's like, why would you fund someone's death unless so the government is funding smoking campaigns?
Overpopulation.
Yeah, to take care of
It's a
overpopulation.
conspiracy.
They're gonna get them.
Big Pharma is pushing smoking.
Big Pharma. What is Big Pharma? I've heard that so many times.
It's just like any like medical company.
So
like,
Big Pharma, they're pushing for it. All right, they want us to die.
Yeah, Big Pharma is the people who sell us meds, and so they want us all to be taking meds constantly, so they make money.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Big
Well, that makes
Pharmaceuticals is what it's short for.
All right.
Yeah.
See, I was picturing FAR.
Farm, like big farms.
Yeah, Big Pharma.
Big ranchers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, those fat Texans, they're coming for me.
Don't make fun of me. I'm dumb. I shouldn't say that I'm dumb. That gives me no relevance to speak on your show. But what was your question?
So yeah, my question, I didn't really say it yet, but so does loneliness is an epidemic. Is there a large scale solution? It's kind of mine.
Free love, dog. Yo, just give it up for free.
Yeah, because
need,
like we were saying,
prostitution, and fucking weed.
Yeah, dude, have you been to Burning Man? It changes you.
Yo, dog.
Just out in the desert, no currency, man. Capitalism is out the window.
I found myself at Burning Man. I went there a businessman, and I came back a goddamn god.
But then turned right back into a businessman because gods don't pay the bills.
Yeah. But then I got fired because I was trying to like free love on my secretary. And my wife just like was straight up not having a good time. And I was like, honey, you're not acting very cash money right now.
No. You not having a good time is just like really bringing me down right now. So
I would just love to imagine he went there to he's like, hello, my name is Stan. I am a father of 2 children, and I'm married to a lovely woman named Karen. He comes back, he's like, Karen, I love you.
Don't call me Stan. I'm Stevie now.
My name is Stevie. A worldwide solution to loneliness, huh?
Not even just worldwide, but like since it is like becoming an epidemic, it's shortening people's lifespans, and like a large portion, especially young people, think that they're lonely. Is there a way to like nip that in the bud?
Make them think that they're not lonely.
Yeah, how do you trick them into being
give
happy?
Them VR, and then you tell them, it's like, find friends on VR. Why is it so easy to find online friends but not easy to meet people in person?
Because people let their guards down. It's the same reason like why people leave hateful comments and stuff.
Exactly. So everybody should let their guards down and realize that we're all people. Like, go up and talk to that guy with AirPods. Who gives a shit? Maybe he wants to talk to you. He probably doesn't because he can smell the pour on you. But you could try. If everybody let their guards down and like just talk to like one new person a day, at least, like to start, like we could probably break down this whole loneliness thing.
I was walking behind a dude with AirPods, and then a lady was coming up, and then she was coming the opposite direction, and she said, "Go Cubs" or whatever, and because he's probably wearing a t-shirt, and then he didn't say anything because he had those AirPods in, and then so she like leans over to tap him as she walks by, and she's like takes out his AirPod, and she goes, "Go Cubs," and then he just goes, and then just like walks off, and I was like, she's trying so hard.
She went out of her way to talk to you.
I know, because I would have been like, "Go Cubs," and if he didn't say anything, I would be like,
yeah,
he probably likes him. It's okay.
Well, see, I'm that way with people I know. Like, I went and sat in class last night, and I was like, oh, hey, there's a guy that I like have sat next to before. And so I went up and I was like, oh, well, someone's sitting in the seat next to him, so I'll just sit across the aisle because we were both on aisle seats. And so I was waiting for him to kind of like look around, and he did. And so I'd never seen him with AirPods before. So I was like, nice AirPods, douchebag. And then he didn't say anything. And so like, I just looked around, and to everyone else, I just like just insulted this man who said nothing. I was like, whatever. And so I just like went back, and like I had some work to do, and so I was doing it. And then later on in the class, he looked and he's like, yo, you need to learn to get to class on time. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I got here like before the people around you.
He didn't even realize you were there?
He had no idea I was there. And then the girl behind was like, that's why you don't talk to people with AirPods. And I was like, yeah, I know. God.
I guess not.
Yeah. And he's like, man, why didn't you tap me, brother? I was like, I'm across the hall from you. Or I'm across the aisle from you. I'm not going to like reach over and Hello,
AirPods night, douchebag.
I am here. I am your friendo. Please pay attention to me. Like, I want to make a connection with someone, but if I've already made that connection with him, so I'm like, he'll see me eventually. It's not important for me to see him now. Also, it was a 3-hour class, so I'm like, whatever.
But I've definitely gotten in my own head about things like that. Like, there was a person I knew, but it's the beginning of the year, and I was like, hey, Ariana, and then she didn't respond. I was like, wait, is that not her name? Like, what if I'm just yelling the wrong name across the class? Yeah. And I was like, is it Adriana? Is it what? And then later we were talking and somebody was like, hey, Ariana. I was like, damn it. She was just ignoring me.
Oh.
I don't think she was ignoring me. I think she just didn't hear me. Yeah. But I got in my head real bad about it.
Yeah. So. I've been there where, you just kind of I question people's names constantly. I'm so bad at remembering names. And I've gotten to the point where I get in my own head where I'm like, oh shit, I really should remember their name. Just ask. It's so much better to just admit that you're it's like, hey, I'm shit at names. I did that the other day in class with this guy, and I was like, hey, what's your name? Because we had been put in a group together, and I remembered one of their names, but I didn't remember the other. One guy was named something very memorable, and the other person was named something very basic,
generic.
I was like, okay, whatever. It could have been Mark or Matt or anything like that. I was just like, wow, okay. And so a little later, I was like, do I wait for the awkward moment for someone to say his name? Do I wait for him to catch on that I don't know his name and for him to slip it into the conversation?
And the longer you wait, the worse it gets. And it's like, oh, I can just put it off. And then it's like, you never find out. And then it's like, okay, I've known you for a month now. Now I really can't ask for your name.
Yeah, no. So I it's like, we're about to get married. I still, and they're just like, do you take Kendra to be a wife? Kendra! And then you just walk up.
How did I not remember that?
My God. I thought it was Patricia. But no, I took that into account. I was just like, the longer I wait, the worse it's going to be. And so I just hey, I don't remember your name. I'm sorry. What was it? And he's like, oh, who's this? I was like, okay, cool. It was as forgettable as I remember it being. I know it now because I had to ask, but
and then it's way easier.
Yeah, it's way easier to do that after you've reminded yourself or forced yourself to remind yourself. It's along the same line of thinking as if you want to remember to do something, then put one of your items out of place. So you're like, why is that there? And you're like, oh yeah, because I did that. The whole connection kind of thing, which doesn't always work if all of your shit is always in the wrong place anyways. You're just like, oh, why is that book over there? Because I'll put it away.
Yeah, if you live like your OCD, then you're like, oh, that's why that's there. But otherwise.
But I forgot where we were going with this.
So we said what's the solution to this large scale epidemic?
Oh, yeah.
And so
that's right. I tangented.
We should all lower our barriers a little bit.
Yeah.
But is there any way to create community events? Would people want those or do those?
I think that more community events might help. I think community events get these bad raps for being lame or boring or poorly put together. I think some communities do really well. I don't have examples, but I do know that I've seen pictures of stuff and events where it's like, oh wow, that's super cool. The city just put on this not a parade, but it's a festival or something. Which I think festivals are way better than parades. One, festivals can bring in venues or bring in revenue, and you have all these cool stands set up and activities and things to do. So not only are you kind of making money off of this, but also you're boosting morale because you've got these cool things. You've got what is it? Salina has Riverfest, and
Ellsworth has Cowtown Days, and it's
we
it's
don't talk
lame.
about that.
But it brings the whole city together.
Yeah, they're a bunch of yeehaw folks. So
yeah, but they're yeehawing together.
Yeah, they're all they all gather. It's those Facebook things that went on for a while. It's everyone go to town hall and yeehaw at 12 o'clock or whatever. And so yeah, so stuff like that I think is really great and brings people together, especially free events, obviously, because college towns need those free events because otherwise you're not going to get anybody. Because guess what? 40,000 people of your 90,000 population is a student.
And it's so hard to get people to get dressed for the day and like, you know, go out into the world.
It's so hard to get people to do basic human things.
I listen to Chris Hardwick a lot, and he's like, to get people to go to the movies is so hard because they can watch so much on demand. And so is it like you have to make something great for them to come out? And so if you're like making it cost money and making it not that great, no one's going to come to your events.
So do you think there's something to being in an on-demand world?
Yeah, like I think that's a big part of things because like one, we don't have to leave our house to go do things. And so like even like little things like going to the movies, you get like a little camaraderie for like, oh, we all want to see this movie. Yeah. But on Netflix, you're so isolated from that because you're like, I don't know if people are watching this.
But then like you're also like, because we have like this choice to be like, oh, hey, I can either stay in and be lonely maybe, but like try and like stave off the loneliness because I can, you know, put on a movie just immediately rather than going outside, getting dressed, having to go out into the world. You're like shutting down these possibilities to like meet new people and have more experiences just because you're choosing the easier route.
Yeah.
Isn't there some science principle? It's like the routes given or of the options of how something works, it's always the easiest or something.
Yeah,
like that?
it's Occam's razor.
There you go.
It's a philosophical principle that like when all other things are the same, naturally you'll go with the simpler one.
And so, yeah, I think that's just a real life example of that, where, you know, you have the option, but the easier one is just to stay in your PJs or your underwear. And
but it's weird. It's like going to a theater, like obviously like the movie's a little better quality, but you don't like really notice it. But like the little things of like, oh, I'm going to look nice. I'm going to like be in this like big auditorium. That just feels kind of cool. The movie's obviously better quality. You're around people laughing with you. It's like all these like little things that add up that you don't like when adding it up beforehand. You're like, oh, it's a better movie, but it costs a lot. And it's like, actually, there's a few more things in there.
Some people hate that though. Some people hate like, just like, oh, I'm going to go out and be in public. There's going to be all these people there.
Lines and spend money and And those are people who sometimes want to look at the bad things in life. You know, when I like make the comparison, I usually see that people who hate that kind of stuff are usually just people who just like want to complain about things.
Fair enough. See, I do that sometimes. I'm just like, like I talk during movies, but there's going to be some asshole who's just going to like vape in the theater. I'm just like, why? Although here it's a little bit different. I've gone to the theater here and had like nothing but good experiences. It's been great. Like they have like the sweet like couch seats that you can recline and stuff.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, this is fucking dope. But like if you're going to like an AMC theater or something like that, not to shit on AMC.
No.
In case they want to sponsor us.
They just have lots of people there.
Yeah, it's just like they're cheap movies. And cheap movies bring cheap people. So not to say that cheap people are always the worst. They're not always the greatest. You get like, you know, someone with like their 70 kids that they bring in. I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna suck. Or you get the kid who vapes in the middle of the thing. And I'm just like, I will destroy you if you vape one more time during Infinity War.
If I go to a kids movie, it has to be like after 9:00. I'm like, if I go to one time, I accidentally went at like 4:00, and I was like, oh no. Wait, this is a kids movie. I think it was the most recent Spider-Man, Into the Spideyverse, and I was like, oh, this is a kids movie. No,
yeah, it's like
I was here for John Mulaney.
Yeah, I was here for fucking Spider Noir.
Yeah,
Nick Cage.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, no, it's funny that there's that rule. It's like you got to go after their bedtime because then there's all that. But yeah, no, there's definitely that because we live in such a society where it's like, oh, we have the option. We have so many options just at our fingertips. Like this thing in our hand can do so much more than anyone could ever do in like our parents' generation even.
Definitely.
Like they still had to go out and meet people, like physically see each other at bars or whatever.
But even like not that far back, like just like since I can like text my grandma and be like, I love you. Is that taking away from, but it has that tone too when you text it. It just sounds like, I love you.
Yeah.
But like, does that take away from like me, like when I would have called her, maybe not as often, but like it would have been a longer, more meaningful experience that way. So is that like adding to our loneliness factor?
I don't know if it's adding to our loneliness. I think it's definitely adding to our seemingly, I don't know. We seem to be like fighting our natural instincts to be herd animals, to be maybe not herd, it's like pack maybe more like. Nah, pride, because we're rivals. But no, like to be these social creatures, because everyone just wants to stay at home and nobody wants to go out and talk to people. Like, have you tried talking to like someone our age on the phone?
Yeah,
like,
no, they don't say a whole lot
they,
usually.
They hate it.
Yeah.
Like, if you call someone, like, what? Like, that's the immediate tone they get. It's not like, hello. It's always like, what the fuck do you want? It's like, why are you calling me? And they're like, I just want to say hi. But at the same time, it is interesting that if I call someone on the phone, I get a negative reaction. If I talk to someone on Discord, they're like, oh, yeah, what's up? Or FaceTime. Like, you know, white girls love the FaceTime. I see it all the time. I saw a girl FaceTiming her friend in the gym.
What?
I was like, why? Like, you're at the gym. You look gross. I mean, not that, like, everyone looks gross at the gym. I'm not saying specifically this person looked gross. It's just so weird to me. But no, I think there is something to be said about like the value of just talking to someone. Like, that has gained value, where as it used to be, it's like, oh, well, like, go and see them. And then it was like, we'll call them. And now it's like, I'll text them. Oh, and then, like, you know, in the future it's going to be like, oh, well.
Yeah. And with texting, it's like, they're like, oh, you do it because it's easier, right? It's just so easy to send a text. But like, it's continued like little bursts of effort where it's like, oh, I got to think of what to say. I like want to like keep them engaged or whatever. Whereas like a phone call, it's like 30 minutes of like pure dedication, but then it's over. Whereas texting, it's like, oh, I can forget about it. Oh, now I have to think to text again. And it's like drawn out more.
Yeah. Do you put more value in like if someone takes the time to call you?
Probably.
Yeah.
I do kind of appreciate like a, hey, do you want to call text? Which is like weird because it's like I'm texting you to call. Yeah. But it's just like getting a call. I'm like, whoa, I wasn't prepared for this.
Well, I do that a lot too with like some of my friends because, I mean, one, I'm busy as shit all the time. Mostly due to self-inflicted, you know, everything. But then I know I like all my friends are really busy. And so like, because we're all in college, specifically usually, that's such a weird phrase, specifically usually. Anyways, but like it is nice to be like, oh, hey, do you have a minute to call? I would prefer that as to like just calling me, just because I'm busy more often than not. And it's not that it's not, hey, I don't want to talk to you. It's, hey, I'm, you know, doing shit.
Can I push this to tonight or something?
Which, you know, that's a whole other thing. Oh, I saw this thing I wanted to bring up to you because I thought about it earlier. There's this cool video that I think Domix did, where he talked about people who have FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah. But also are flakers. Yeah. And so what do you think that's all about? Like, have you ever been that kind of person? Because like watching this video, have you seen it?
No, I don't think so.
So just to do a quick recap, and you guys should definitely go watch it. Pause this video, watch that video, come back to this video, finish this video. But like, no. So basically what he says is there's always these people who, no matter how hard you try and get them to come out, they will always cancel last minute. And they never intend on going out. They always make the plans with the intention to cancel. And it's not that they don't want to go out, or it is that they don't want to go out. It's just that they have that fear of missing out and they want to have that option to go out or not. And like, maybe they'll go out like 1 in every 16 times, but then by that time, usually people stop inviting them. Yeah. Have you ever been that kind of person?
No, I never understood, because a lot of people were like, oh, to introverts, canceling plans is so like lovely and beautiful and feels like butter. And I'm like, if you make a plan, you kind of like, you made the plan to like do something. Like, I like the event. I like doing things. And that's probably like the extrovert in me is like, I want to be out. I want to be doing things. I just like don't want to like force it on people and like feel like I'm causing trouble.
Yeah, no, like, and it feels shitty when people cancel on you.
It does.
I'm like, it is one thing if it's like a group of friends or something, versus like one-on-one. When it's a one-on-one and they cancel, you take it so much more personal. You're just like, well, this kind of sucks, but okay.
But even like group stuff, it's like, okay, maybe there's lots of people, but if there's like 5 people and like 2 of them bail, and it's like, oh, well, now we're down to a trio, and that's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah. And, you know, but I will admit, there have been times when it's like plans get canceled. I'm like, oh, thank God, you know? And it's not even necessarily like, oh, I never wanted to go out with them anyways. It's like, oh, well, now I have free time to do this other thing. Like, you know, it's like, oh, that would have been fun, but now I can catch up on playing The Witcher. Now I can play fucking The Witcher. God, nobody cares. We don't play relevant games.
We
now.
both are playing The Witcher
Yeah.
like pretty frequently right now.
Oh my god. I actually haven't even played a video game in ages. So, like,
it's
other
the way
than
to do it though, especially because I play like single player games. You play all the old ones that everyone just like rants about constantly, so you know what the hype was about.
Yeah.
But you don't have to like buy these disappointing games that people like pre-ordered.
Well, we're working up
Little
to
tidbit in life.
eventually we're gonna have to pre-order everything.
That's we'll have to be relevant.
Yeah, we'll have to be relevant. Unfortunately, because apparently it's important.
Staying in the loop.
Who gives a shit?
Going to plans.
Going to plans. Staying in the loop. Making
Not missing
friends.
out.
But yeah, no, I was just wondering if you'd ever had like, do you have that fear of missing out?
I mean, a little bit. I really like to be invited to things, but you know.
Yeah, I love being invited.
Makes me feel like I'm wanted.
Yeah, it's like why wouldn't you want to be invited? Like
lonely.
It's like someone has gone out of their way to think, oh hey, this person might like this,
and I would like them to do it with me too.
I'd like to do it with me, and maybe it's like some of their friends and maybe some mutual friends. I'm like, oh cool, I meet new people, I'm hanging out with people I like. This is all this
the whole gambit.
This is dandy. This is just dandy.
No. But in the same way that like technology like might be like pulling away from like the specialness of moments, do you think that like holidays like Valentine's Day like create this like unreachable, what's the word, like pedestal that we give it and takes away from the time around it where we could have been like going on dates and like showing our love that way, but just like conglomerating it into one day? Do you think that's has negative effects at all?
I don't know if it has negative effects other than that it draws attention to how lonely you are sometimes. But I think like days like today are great for businesses. Yeah. Because you're selling chocolates, you're selling cards. How many days a year do you sell cards?
Not many.
You sell birthday cards. You sell
Flag Day cards.
Yeah.
Columbus Day cards. Earth Day cards.
Like you sell like condolences cards. I don't even remember the last time I saw a get well soon card. No one gets sick long enough. Like I remember that was like such a big deal when I was a kid. I feel like it's like, oh, let's get them a get well card. It's like by the time we get it to them, they'll be better. What the fuck's the point? But like, you know, so like I think Valentine's Day is like great for those kinds of things for businesses. But they do also give you a special occasion for, you know, relationships.
A reason to go out when you're like normally busy all the time and you wouldn't.
Yeah, it gives you like a set date where it's like, all right, asshole, you don't have an excuse. It's one day a year and everybody knows the exact day it is. Yeah. Unless you're us, because I completely forgot that it was Valentine's Day. And like someone mentioned it in class today. I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's one of those. But no, so I don't think it necessarily hurts. I mean, I guess
other than just drawing attention to you might not participate in the holiday.
But even that, I think there's just growing like subculture of people who don't participate in Valentine's Day. Like there's a filter on Snapchat right now called Anti-Valentines Day. And it's just like all people who like are lonely, and so it gives you like this community to hook up with all these lonely people. Whether it be hook up, you know, literally, or just like meet these people and be like, oh, hey, you know, I've got a community of all these lonely people. And then there's Galentine's Day, Palentine's Day, Palestine's Day, you know, for our listeners in the Middle East.
That kind of wraps up our podcast about loneliness.
Cool. We did it. We made it to the end. And we did it together.
Because we are one. No, but thanks for everyone watching. If you're on YouTube, you didn't get that awful ad break or lovely ad break, depending on our voices and how you feel about them. And you also get it a day earlier. So come visit us on YouTube at Humorish. You can give us questions and submit topics and stuff at our Twitter at humorish_tm. Or we have a Gmail, which is at humorish.tm_tm still? No,
it's .tm.
.tm. So email is .tm, Twitter is _tm.
It's in the description. Just look, you lazy fuck.
Yeah, right? No. But yeah, thanks to everyone. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, talk to us, talk about us. Thank you. We love you. Bye.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Galentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Geibel.
Stop.